Moving to a new state always sounds exciting. New job, new home, new life. But here's the truth. Sometimes that fresh start turns into, well, a fresh nightmare. Every year, thousands of Americans pack up their lives and head somewhere new. Maybe it's for better weather, cheaper housing, or just a change of scenery. But after the honeymoon phase wears off, a lot of people realize they made a huge mistake. Suddenly, the dream state becomes the get me out of here state, and the reasons are as wild as they are frustrating. Some states lure you in with sunshine, then hit you with unbearable heat. Others promise affordability, but surprise, the taxes eat your wallet alive. And let's not forget the states where traffic is so bad, you start questioning every life decision you've ever made. That's why today we're breaking down the US states people regret moving to the most. These aren't just random guesses. Surveys, moving company data, and endless online complaints paint a pretty clear picture of where people end up unhappy. We'll look at 5 states that rack up the most regrets and dive into why. From sky-high living costs to miserable weather to job markets that don't deliver, each one has its own gotcha factor that sends people packing. And don't worry, we'll sprinkle in a little humor because, let's be honest, sometimes these reasons are almost comically painful. So if you've ever dreamed about moving to another state, stick around. You might rethink your plans once you hear where people are fleeing from. And trust me, the number one regret state? It's probably the exact one your cousin keeps posting Instagram photos about. California. On the surface, it's the American dream. Beaches, Hollywood, tech startups, palm trees swaying in the sun. It's the place people all over the world imagine moving to. And yes, it is beautiful, but once you actually live there, reality hits faster than a Los Angeles traffic jam. Let's start with the obvious. Cost of living. California is one of the most expensive states in the country. Housing prices are sky high. Buying a home feels like trying to win the lottery, and even renting can drain your paycheck before you finish unpacking. Add in gas prices that make you cry at the pump, and you'll quickly realize why so many Californians are fleeing to states like Texas or Nevada. Then there's the traffic. If you think you've experienced bad traffic before, trust me, you haven't seen anything until you've been stuck on the 405 in LA for 2 hours just to move 10 miles. Commuting here can feel like a full-time job in itself. And don't forget the natural disasters. Earthquakes, wildfires, droughts. California has them all. Sure, the weather is sunny most of the time, but when half the state feels like it's on fire every summer, that sunshine doesn't seem quite as glamorous. Now, to be fair, California still has amazing opportunities. Tech jobs in Silicon Valley, entertainment in Los Angeles, gorgeous scenery up and down the coast. But unless you're earning 6 figures, or you're okay with a constant hustle, the downsides can overshadow the dream. That's why so many people regret moving there. They arrive chasing the fantasy, but they leave because of the reality. Endless expenses, packed freeways, and a state that sometimes feels like it's testing your survival skills. And if you think California sounds rough, just wait. The next state doesn't hit you with fire or traffic. It hits you with something even harder to escape. Brutal weather and sky-high taxes. New York sounds glamorous, right? Bright lights, Broadway shows, Wall Street money, pizza on every corner. And if you're just visiting, it is exciting. But when you actually move there, that's when the regret starts to creep in. Let's begin with the obvious, cost of living. New York City is one of the most expensive places to live in the entire country. Rent for a tiny apartment can cost more than a mortgage in other states. People joke that in New York, your living room is actually your bed, your desk, and your closet, all in one. And they're not wrong. But it's not just NYC. Even upstate New York, where housing is cheaper, has its drawbacks. The property taxes are some of the highest in the country. So while you might score a big house in Buffalo or Albany, the tax bill that comes with it could knock the wind out of you. Then there's the weather. Brutal winters that dump mountains of snow, icy roads, and freezing winds. If you're not built for months of gray skies and slush, you'll be counting the days until spring. And then sneezing your way through allergy season? And don't forget the pace of life. New York is fast, loud, crowded, and competitive. For some, that energy is addictive. For others, it's exhausting. If you came for peace and quiet, you definitely moved to the wrong place. Now, New York does have its perks: culture, history, job opportunities, and yes, that unbeatable pizza slice at 2 a.m. But for a lot of newcomers, the cons pile up quickly. The constant grind, the taxes, the cramped housing, it all adds up to one big regret. And while New York overwhelms you with cost and chaos, the next state leaves people disappointed for a different reason. It promises affordability and freedom, but what you actually get is scorching heat and a whole lot of, what did I just sign up for? Texas has been marketed as the land of opportunity. Big houses, no state income tax, booming cities like Austin, Dallas, and Houston. It's the state everyone seems to be moving to. But here's the twist. A lot of people who head to Texas end up regretting it. Let's start with the weather. Unless you love feeling like you live inside an oven, Texas summers are brutal. We're talking 100 days that stretch on for weeks. Air conditioning isn't optional here. It's survival. And when winter does show up, it can be chaotic. Remember the infamous 2021 freeze? Millions of people lost power and water for days, so yeah, Texas weather doesn't play nice. Then there's the infrastructure problem. Cities like Austin grew way too fast and the roads couldn't keep up. The traffic is getting California level bad and public transportation is, let's just say, limited is being generous. And while housing can be cheaper than in California or New York, that gap is closing fast. Prices have skyrocketed in the past few years as more people flood in. Plus, property taxes in Texas are some of the highest in the country, so even without state income tax, you're still paying a hefty bill. Culturally, Texas can be polarizing too. For some, the cowboy boots, barbecue, and don't mess with Texas vibe are part of the charm. For others, it feels like too much of a culture shock. Let's just say if you're not ready for guns, giant trucks, and political debates that get heated real quick, you might find yourself packing your bags. Don't get me wrong, Texas has incredible food, music, and job growth, especially in tech and energy. But a lot of people arrive expecting a land of cheap living and endless opportunity, only to find scorching summers, crumbling roads, and costs that keep climbing. And if you think Texas is tough, the next state flips the script. It's not about extreme heat. It's about endless cold, sky-high taxes, and winter so long you'll forget what sunshine looks like. Illinois might surprise some people on this list, but ask the folks who've moved there. A lot of them regret it. And the main reason comes down to two words that make residents groan: taxes and weather. Let's start with the taxes. Illinois has some of the highest property taxes in the nation. Even if you find an affordable house, the tax bill that comes with it can feel like a second mortgage. Add in state income taxes and other fees, and suddenly that affordable Midwestern living doesn't look so affordable anymore. Then there's the weather. If you've ever wanted to experience all four seasons in one week, Illinois has you covered. Summers can be hot and humid, while winters are brutally cold, snowy, and windy, especially in Chicago, which didn't get the nickname the Windy City by accident. That endless cycle of shoveling snow and scraping ice off your windshield wears people down fast. And speaking of Chicago, yes, it's iconic. The skyline, deep dish pizza, sports culture, it's a world-class city. But it also has well-documented struggles with crime and a cost of living that keeps creeping up. Many newcomers end up disappointed when they realize the day-to-day reality doesn't match the postcard image. Outside of Chicago, Illinois can feel very different. More rural, quieter, and sometimes lacking in job opportunities. That's another reason people regret moving. They come for the city life, but find themselves priced out, or they settle in smaller towns that don't have the opportunities they expected. Now, Illinois isn't all bad. It has great universities, a central location, and a lot of culture. But between the taxes, the winters, and the economic challenges, many people start browsing Zillow in warmer, cheaper states sooner than they planned. And if you think Illinois sounds tough, wait until you hear about the last state on our list. It's sunny, it's popular with retirees, and it looks great on Instagram. But living there full time? That's where the regrets really pile up. Florida looks like paradise on the surface. Palm trees, sandy beaches, Disney World, endless sunshine. It's the postcard state. No wonder so many people pack up and move there every year. But here's the kicker. A lot of those same people end up regretting it. The first reason? The weather. Tourists love Florida's sunshine, but living in it year-round is a different story. Summers are brutally hot and humid. The kind where you step outside and immediately feel like you need another shower. Oh, and let's not forget the hurricanes. Every year, Floridians brace for storm season, which brings flooding, power outages, and sometimes serious destruction. Then there's the wildlife factor. Gators in the ponds, snakes in the backyard, and bugs the size of small drones. If you're not used to nature creeping a little too close, Florida will test your nerves. Cost of living is another shocker. While Florida doesn't have state income tax, housing prices in popular areas like Miami, Orlando, and Tampa have skyrocketed. Combine that with high insurance rates, especially homeowners insurance in hurricane zones, and suddenly affordable living doesn't feel so affordable anymore. Culturally, Florida can also be polarizing. It's a mix of retirees, tourists, transplants, and locals, all with different lifestyles and opinions. That makes for an interesting but sometimes chaotic social scene. And yes, Florida man headlines are a real thing. The state has a reputation for bizarre news stories that make outsiders laugh, but residents sometimes cringe. Now, to be fair, Florida does have perks: beaches, nightlife, a diverse culture, and plenty of activities. But for many who move there, the constant humidity, hurricane stress, and rising costs outweigh the perks. So while Florida might look like a dream on Instagram, living there full time is a whole different story. So there you have it. 5 of the US states people regret moving to the most. California dazzles with sunshine but drains your wallet with sky-high costs. New York offers endless opportunities but buries you in taxes, cramped spaces, and brutal winters. Texas lures people with no state income tax and big houses, but hits back with scorching heat and failing infrastructure. Illinois piles on property taxes and freezing winters that wear people down. And Florida? Well, it might look like paradise, but between hurricanes, humidity, and soaring housing costs, the dream doesn't always match reality. What's fascinating is that these states aren't unpopular. In fact, they're some of the most popular destinations in the country. People move there chasing opportunity, sunshine, or culture. But once the initial excitement fades, the downsides hit hard. And for many, that's when the regret sets in. Of course, not everyone hates living in these places. Millions of people call them home and love it. If you have the right job, the right budget, and the right expectations, these states can still be incredible. But the reality is, when surveys ask Americans where they'd leave if they could, these 5 states keep topping the list. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these states surprised you the most? If you had to choose between sky-high taxes in New York, endless summers in Texas, or hurricanes in Florida, which would you pick as the lesser evil? Or maybe you're already living in one of these states. Do you regret it, or do you think the complaints are exaggerated? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and who knows? Maybe your next move will be to one of these states, or away from them.